The government has provided greater clarity, specified effective dates, and unveiled even more significant changes that will shock a lot of people with the new UK visa policies and amendments that were released in the white paper. Let's quickly review it immediately so that we are aware of its contents. Thus, with more than 120 pages, it is a lengthy document. Board additionally, after releasing a statement of change, they also release an explanation memo that summarizes or explains all of the information contained in the statement. The Home Office has now prepared this explanatory memo, which His Majesty has ordered to be presented to Parliament. Let's start by examining the modifications to skilled worker and other employment pathways outlined in the Immigration White Paper. Candidates for skilled worker positions must be sponsored for a position in a field requiring regulated qualifications at level 3 or higher. Rather than an applicant's qualifications, the thresholds are related to the occupation's competence level. In an effort to assist businesses in adjusting to the termination of free movement between the UK and the EU, the requirement was dropped from RQF Level 6 in the 2020 revisions to the immigration regulations. Since then, as outlined in the Immigration White Paper, there has been an increase in the number of visas and worries about the exploitation of foreign recruiting, especially in occupations below level RQF 6. As a result, these modifications raise the bar for skilled workers back to RQF Level 6, approximately 180. Qualified occupations will now be eliminated as a result of these adjustments. Only those skilled worker applicants who are already on the path, or who have been sponsored for an application that is later approved when the changes take effect, or whose occupation is on the immigration salary list or the new interim temporary shortage list, will be eligible for sponsorship in these occupations, according to the most recent 2024 annual poll. The next step is to update the salary requirements across skilled workers in global business in order to facilitate corporate mobility and scale up routes of wages and hours data as released by the national statistics. Appendices on skilled occupations have been reorganized to reflect these changes. The updated going rate and eligible occupations are now presented in separate tables for occupations at RQF levels 3 to 5 and RUQF level 6. Plus, the agenda for change for Scotland's pay rates is also being corrected. Therefore, workers who are currently in the skilled worker routes or who have been sponsored for an application that is later successful when the changes come into effect from the increase to the skill threshold as set out in the Immigration White Paper are exempt from the transitional arrangement for the time being in this set of changes. This makes it possible for current skilled workers to keep renewing their visas, change jobs, and take on additional work in occupations that fall below RQF Level 6. Although there are no transitional arrangements pertaining to the adjustments to salary standards, these agreements will be reviewed in due course and will not be in effect indefinitely. The immigration salary list has undergone some modifications as well. As you are aware, a small number of occupations, including IT technicians, welders, electricians, photographers, car mechanics, human resources officers, data analysts, security system installers, and many more, are on the temporary shortage list. Therefore, feel free to review it whenever you have free time. Believe me, it's a lengthy read. Alright. Therefore, it's a skilled worker visa-eligible occupations on the immigration salary list are those where there is a labor shortage and where it makes sense to give a lower salary. This list will be replaced by a temporary shortage list, according to the Immigration White Paper. After then, workers sponsored in occupations on either list at RQF levels 3 to 5 won't be allowed to bring their dependent. You will not be permitted to bring a dependent if your sponsored occupation is below RQF level 6. Additionally, this does not apply to workers sponsored in RQF level 3 to 5 occupations or occupations at RQF 6 or higher who were able to bring dependents prior to the implementation of these amendments and were already enrolled in the skilled worker path. These revisions also exempt dependent children who were born in the UK or in cases where the skilled worker has sole parental responsibility for them. In keeping with the current limitations on dependents of care workers and senior care workers, it's the occupation codes 6135 and 6136 for senior care workers and adult social care workers sponsored as care workers are well known. These include those who have lost their jobs as a result of companies overestimating the need for their services, losing the opportunity to sponsor employees because they did not comply, and all of the other problems that we are aware of, such as abuse and everything. They stated in the white paper that they would no longer be hiring care workers or elder care workers from abroad. Additionally, those adjustments allow those who are transferring from other visa pathways to apply in country for a transition period until July 22, 2028, after which these occupations will no longer be listed on the immigration salary list or temporary shortage list. Employees must have been lawfully employed by the sponsoring provider for a minimum of 3 months prior to the date on which their sponsor issued their certificate of sponsorship. Basically, they ending care worker visa, but they also allowing people already in the UK on this visa to be able to change sponsors. Switch employers, but they giving a grace period from now till the 22nd of July, 2028. And after that, everything about care worker visa will be removed from the immigration salary list or temporary occupation list. So the requirement for sponsors to first try to recruit from the pool of skilled workers seeking new sponsorship is being removed as a result of the above changes. All applications to which the requirements applied are being closed. And as with the increase of the skills threshold, this statement of changes applies to transitional arrangement to exempt workers who are already in the skilled worker routes or have been sponsored for an application which is later successful, or who switch to the route before the closing date of the 22nd of July 2028, and they said these changes will be implemented on the 22nd of July 2025. As detailed in the implementation section of the accompanying statement of changes. So these are the key changes basically in the statement of change that was released. They are raising the threshold for skilled worker visas from occupations at our QF level 3 and above, to occupations at our QF level 6 and above. And then salary requirements for work visas are being raised in line with the latest Office for National Statistics data ahead of an upcoming thorough review of salary requirements. Other routes will take effect on July 22, 2025, as a comprehensive declaration of modifications. Examining the general salary threshold, the primary document pertaining to the salary threshold. As you can see, they are raising it from £38,700 to £41,700, since the explanatory memorandum didn't actually provide us with the figures. I just thought I'd show you folks so that you can read anything on your own. Given that this is not immigration advice, you should get an expert opinion or something similar if you require it. Basically, this is merely for informational purposes.